Before we start, I would like to introduce you to my little succulent. Her name is Izzy, and yes, I know it's a plant, but its name is Izzy. And I got it yesterday, and it is the most adorable thing you've ever seen. I know I usually talk about just books here, but I want to show you that. And if you want to see more pictures, I will be posting some on my blog come November, and you can see the link to my blog in the description below. Now on to who is my favorite author. That would be Jane Austen. Jane Austen wrote 6 novels and has a bunch of shorter works that are gathered into a book called Love and Friendship. Because she died before she was able to finish several of her works. And the most popular one, obviously, is Pride and Prejudice. And everyone is somewhat familiar with Pride and Prejudice, yes. And that is typically the movie that people see. Usually it's the one with Keira Knightley. And I personally still endorse the BBC version. It is 4.5 hours long, which is why most people don't read it, watch it. It's a movie. People watch movies. And it's just really worth watching. So, we are going to move on to Sense and Sensibility. By the way, Pride and Prejudice is the one that I recommend you starting with. Sense and Sensibility is similar to Pride and Prejudice, but a lot of people think that all of Jane Austen's works follow the same formula, and they do not. Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice are the most similar, but just because they're about sisters finding husbands doesn't mean that that's all Jane Austen ever wrote about. So definitely check out Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility first, and then go explore her other works, because her other works are always overlooked because these two are so popular. And my favorite Sense and Sensibility is a tie between the Emma Thompson version and the Masterpiece Classic or BBC version with the actor who plays Matthew Crawley. The next one that I'm going to discuss is Emma. Emma is a little bit of a matchmaker, and so it's not like her parents are finding a husband for her or anything. This is a different kind of story. She is the one making matches around town, and it gets her into some trouble, and she learns a lot of lessons along the way. Persuasion is about Anne Elliot, and this is a rather short one compared to some of the others. Persuasion is the story of Anne Elliot, who 10 years or 7 or 8 years before the story happens, turned down a man's proposal because her neighbor told her to. Her neighbor is like a really close friend, and she's older and kind of a mother figure to Anne, and Anne ends up deciding that she kind of made a bad choice because she really loved him and she was easily persuaded. Our next one is Northanger Abbey, and I listed this in my top 3 favorite books, I believe. Yes, because I couldn't list all of Jane Austen's works. But Northanger Abbey is a very fun favorite, and I read this one and discovered it for myself. I had no clue what the storyline was going into it. This is actually the only Jane Austen that I ever read before I saw a version of it on film. Northanger Abbey is really funny. I've talked about this book before. It's really a fun read. You'll love it. And then we have, I don't have it, Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. And this is what I think of as her 6th. I'm not showing you these in the order that she wrote them. This is the order that I think of them, and the order that I remember them, and the order that I was exposed to them, like that I learned about them and either saw the movie or read the book, one or the other. Mansfield Park, I've only seen the movie. I have not read the book. It is the last Jane Austen I have not read. I've read all of these 5, and I have that one hanging over my head, and I almost don't want to read it because once I read it, I will have read all of Jane Austen's works for the first time, and you will never have another experience like that of reading your favorite author's book for the first time. So I'm saving that one for later, and I'll probably read it very soon. But I'm focusing on all the library books that I have still. And I'm going to keep rereading the Jane Austens that I already have and love. So that's all I got for today. Don't forget, the book was better. Oh, I just thought of a new outro. My new outro, guys, it's going to be The Book Was Better. Because I need an outro and because that is like my t-shirt. Like, I'm not going to wear that t-shirt every time, but you can think of that as my new slogan.